Jura Mountains, a boy and his grandfather are trapped in their chalet. A fierce snowstorm has cut off all paths of rescue, and that's just the beginning.
The rafters. The snow is too heavy. The roof could give way. She hears something. Look at her ears.
What is it, Blanchett?
Quiet, my son.
Grandfather, wolves!
Based on a true story, Buried in the Snow will rivet you, amaze you, and inspire you as Jacques and his grandfather face the ultimate test of their faith. And then the unthinkable happens.
Get behind me.
Add this amazing audio drama to your family collection. Go to lamplighter.net. Lamplighter Theater, building character one story at a time. Lamplighter.net.
And now, Fastened Like Nails with Dr. Mark Hamby.
Welcome to Fastened Like Nails. I'm Mark Hamby, and in the studio with me to my left is Molly Mayo, to my right, Dr. Lew Sterrett. Welcome, both of you.
Thank you.
Okay, so this morning we're going to do something different. We're going to look at John chapter 5. We're going to look at the impotent man. But before we get there, I'd just like to have a little bit of a discussion on what holds us and shackles us, imprisons us in some of our physical restraints. For example, we just talked about Psalm 119, that in faithfulness you've afflicted me. Before I was afflicted, I went astray. Now I learn your statutes. Now I learn your word. So I'd like to just move from there to those that aren't recognizing that God's faithfulness is what's caused this illness into their life, this caused this issue, whatever it is. So we live in a day where we've got, and I don't want to put down any particular chiropractic treatment, for example. I used to go to the chiropractor all the time, and there are some really good chiropractors out there. But I went for a time where I was going to the chiropractor once a month, and it was like routine, like I felt like I had to do it, so I felt like I was somewhat, obligated to go to the chiropractor. And then I came across this physical therapist one day, and he gave me these exercises, and he said, if you keep your body, in tune by doing these exercises, you probably will never have to go to the chiropractor again. That's 12 years ago.
Planned obsolescence is part of everybody's industry to stay alive. The car that falls apart when it could live forever, or the body that needs treatment, that's part of survival for sales.
And we live in a day where, there's a lot of nutritionists, and I think all that stuff is good. We should be nutritionally healthy and so forth. But it seems like we go off the deep end and we start to become, obsessed with, our treatments, with our cures, with, I think what they call it in the New Age health world, they have remedies, for all of these things. And there was a girl one time, I'll never forget this. She drove probably close to 800 miles to come and see me. I had shared something on a broadcast one time about me being sick in a certain area, and it was just an example. But she drove 800 miles to come here to Lamplighter, and she had a book that was, I'd say, 2 inches thick. And this book had all of the cures for different ailments. And she asked me to show my hand to her. And she was looking at the creases, lines in my hand. And she started telling me all the things I needed for my liver, for my kidneys, and all of these things. I'm going like, wait, time out. There was someone that was obsessed with, they spent so much time reading this 2-inch thick book that they had no concept of what God was telling them. And so I started to do some study on this in these areas. And I wanted to talk about it this morning, about how we can get away from the very fact that God says, in faithfulness, I've afflicted you, that you might learn some things. And then along with that is, that he is our great physician, and he promises, I love this, to heal all our diseases. Now, that's really something, because we still go through colds and flus and, different ailments, so we do get sick still. But there's this promise that he'll heal all our diseases. So let's start from there and talk about some of our experiences in life and with the Word of God, how people can become captive to their own bodies.
Well, there's a great divide theologically all over the place, denominations and expressions of healing and non-healing and all those sort of things. And so it's a real issue in how we see it. And the truth of it is that God is the great physician, but he uses many different forms. And we'd all like one method, one simple solution. It doesn't work that way. And he really wants us to discern, because some of those ailments are for us to witness to somebody or to experience God in a different way or to live with a limited life. And we don't have pat answers for each other in those areas, yet we have certain principles of seeking God first, because we realize even when, was it Hezekiah that sought the physicians first?
Yep.
And God reprimanded him for that. God didn't mind healing him, but he wanted him to be sought first. He might have used the physician. Dr. Luke was a physician, so he doesn't condemn any of that.
So this would be an interesting illustration. In Psalm 119, it talks about that we can depend on God's testimonies. In Psalm 19, the testimonies of the Lord are sure, making wise the simple. In Psalm 119, it talks about God's faithful to heal us. He's faithful also to give us certain things that we might learn his testimonies. And that word testimony in Hebrew is the idea of a foster father carrying someone through difficulty. And so I thought, wow, so God wants us to learn how he's carrying us through these difficulties. You know, and the question is, do you believe that he's carrying you through? If you think that God's not in this, you're going to then go to the physicians. You're going to then become not addicted, but you're going to become, what's the word? Dependent, you know, upon everything else, dependent upon your herbs, dependent upon your supplements, dependent upon your doctors. And next thing you know, God's not in the picture at all anymore. And so,
well, a great illustration of that paradox is the Apostle Paul sending cloth to people when they're getting healed because they touch the cloth, and he himself is left with an affliction that he doesn't get healed from.
oh, interesting.
What a contradiction. But that's where God is glorified, in death, in healing, or in limitations.
That's good. I had a Greek professor. This is the first time I was introduced to this idea that we're not supposed to be prisoners to our bodies. And he looked at our class and he said, do you know that our bodies are so wonderfully, miraculously made that they will heal itself. They will take you on different paths of learning new things, new supplements that in Revelation it says the leaves of the trees are for the healing of the nations. You know, and he says, we've not even explored all the different chemicals and nutrients that are in from grass to leaves to bark of the trees, you know, all the kinds of things that are there for our health and sustenance. And he said, he goes, one of the reasons that we stay captive to our own bodies is because we really have not launched out in faith to discover all the things that God has for us in trying different things, which leads me to this illustration. So recently, me and the boys here, we did 75 bags of concrete mixing. Now, here I am approaching 70 years old, and I wanted to teach these boys how to tackle concrete. And now if you're pouring 75 bags of concrete by hand, you know, and you're mixing it, it's going to set up really quickly.
Yeah.
And so you've got to mix like crazy. You know, you've got your hand, mixers in there, and you're mixing like crazy. And I'm watching these boys, and they're losing it, right? It's hardening up. We got to put more water in it. So I get right in there. I'm going to show these guys how to do it. So we did this for approximately 4 hours this night.
It's hard work.
Yeah, I was exhausted. You know, just keep mixing and mixing and mixing and showing these guys how to do it. Then picking up the wheelbarrow, that's a lot of weight, right? And so it's not falling over. And these guys just didn't have the manly strength to do it or the experience. And so there I was, showing them how to do it. Well, within 2 weeks after that, I started having all of these new symptoms in my shoulders of, the inflammation, severe inflammation, where I couldn't even roll over in bed. And so I went to the doctor, and he said, I can give you a shot. And I don't want a shot. He goes, well, I can send you to physical therapy. He sent me to physical therapy. And this happened. The guy looked at me and he goes, I think I can help you. Gives me these exercises in the office. And within 5 minutes of doing these exercises, I was completely cured. I was like, wow, this is a miracle. This is so amazing. Thank you so much. I walked out celebrating my new physical health. I've got no more of the pain. And 2 days later, the pain returns like a vengeance. And I'm like, whoa, what just happened to me? I called the physical therapist, went back in there, and he goes, this happens. He goes, let me give you a different exercise, another exercise, 10 minutes, completely cured, walk out celebrating. 2 days later, comes back with a vengeance. This goes on for 3 weeks. And I'm like, what is going on? Why am I getting better doing these simple exercises in your office, but when I go home, I get worse? And he looked at me and he goes, it's placebo effect. I'm like, what is a placebo effect? He goes, when your body is introduced to something new, like these new exercises, it's infiltrating different areas of your body, different muscles. And that's triggering off something in your brain to say, I've got something new to deal with.
Refocus.
That's exactly right.
That's good.
And he goes, but it's not curing the ailment, the root of the problem.
Yeah.
So after your brain says, oh, I think you're okay over here, after you've introduced something new, it goes back to the inflammation. And I thought, wow, this is really amazing.
It's about like if your left foot hurts, step on your right foot. So you focus on your right foot.
And so I thought, well, this is interesting. So then he gave me some serious exercises where he wasn't going to give me these new things in the office. He was now going to have me focus just on the root problem. Now I had to lift 10-pound weights with my arms extended, bringing it to a point where the pain would really come forward. He goes, now what you have to do is you got to strengthen those areas, and you got to just keep strengthening the areas that are hurting you. And so that your body now gets stronger in those areas.
Because actually you're destroying the present muscle and rebuilding new muscle.
Exactly right.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so, and I thought of it, and I'm going like, well, that's the way it is with life. A lot of people stay shackled, stay imprisoned to their pain in life, and they're comfortable there. And they don't want to move forward by doing the hard stuff. The hard stuff of trying something new, going in a different direction, learning something new. Experiencing, stepping out in faith. So that brings us to John chapter 5, and I'm going to read it to you. You ready? John chapter 5, verse 2 says, Now there is at Jerusalem by the sheep market a pool, which is called in the Hebrew tongue Bethesda, having 5 porches. Molly, we were there. I don't know if you remember that, right by that spot.
Absolutely.
In these lay a great multitude of impotent folk, of blind, halt, withered, waiting for the moving of the water. Now, we'll talk about the moving of the water in a little bit, but simply, there are springs underneath this pool. And when those springs would spring up, the mineral deposit at the bottom of these pools, which was great, would stir up that water. Those minerals would then enter into the pores of these people that were in the pool, and these minerals were actually causing a healing effect in these people, just like I was experiencing a healing effect with these different exercises. Some minerals, if you go to some of the hot pools, these minerals are providing healing to certain people. Not everyone, but some people. It says, For an angel went down at a certain season into the pool and troubled the water. Whosoever then was first after the troubling of the water, the moving of the water, stepped in, was made whole, and whatsoever disease he had. Now, I've studied this extensively. There was a tradition that an angel actually did this, trouble the water, but I believe it was their thought of the day. But actually it was the springs of underneath that were springing up the water, troubling it, though they believed it was an angel. And those who did step in, some did get healed because of the great mineral deposits in this water. And a certain man was there which had an infirmity 38 years. That's a long time to be sick, right? So my infirmity, I told you guys in the previous podcast, lasted for 13 years. So a third, I experienced a third of what this man experienced. But by the time you've experienced an infirmity for 38 years, I think you're resigned to live with it, right?
Sure.
It's all I've known. And then you set up your life according to your infirmity. So now you have certain limitations. You have now set limitations on your life. You're not going to go farther than what you think you can do. You're set.
That's almost 14,000 days of repetition.
Nice.
When Jesus saw him lie and knew that he had been now a long time in that case, he saith unto him, Will you be made whole? I love that. That's the question. Do you want to be made whole? Do you want to be cured? The impotent man answered and said, Sir, I have no man, when the water is troubled, to put me into the pool. But while I am coming, another steps down before me. Jesus said unto him, Rise, take up your bed, and walk. And immediately the man was made whole, and took up his bed and walked, and on the same day was the Sabbath. Okay, so here we go. Lew, Molly, what's Jesus teaching here? The question, do you want to be made whole? And what does the man say?
He has an excuse.
2 of them.
He doesn't really say
No
yes.
one's here to help me. That's the first excuse. No one's here to help me, and everyone else gets up in front of me.
Yeah.
So where do we go from here?
He's a poor victim.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What else?
Well, he doesn't say yes, which is interesting.
Interesting, right?
Yeah.
You would think, like, you want to be made whole? Yes!
Yeah, absolutely. I
I've been
do.
doing this for 38 years. Get me out of here, right?
Yeah. He's
All of us have an infirmity like that. We are sons of the devil. He's a liar. By nature, we're self-protective. All of us are dead in sin, and all of us are given full potential for life. And there are many layers by which God says, do you want to go further?
Now, when you say you're sons of the devil, you're talking about when people are unsaved.
True.
Yeah.
But there is the nature of sin and depravity that stays with us, and that we have to keep choosing to let go of and choose to keep moving into our identity in Christ. And frankly, victim identity is a wonderful thing because you get to feel sorry for yourself and blame. There's 3 things. We either blame, or we deny, or we escape. And this guy, here he was in church, supposedly at the pool, but he had denied the reality that he could go further, or that God could heal him, or that God wanted to heal him.
That's really amazing, right? That goes along with the testimonies of the Lord. Do we have these testimonies where God's carried us through?
And all of us have some of those things in our life. I can't change. I've done my best. It's other people's faults that I am where I am.
Okay, so you're 70-ish
I'll
old.
be 73 in December.
Okay, and I'm looking at you with a somewhat cast on your left wrist.
I live in denial, too. It's right near Egypt.
But so you broke your wrist recently, and that could have really caused you
Ended everything.
right?
Sure.
But how'd you have to deal with that?
I've had several scenarios where I've had an injury and it could have ended things for immediately. And I am reminded by those kinds of things that I am not my own, been bought with a price. The only message I have, he gave to me. And it reminds me again that if he wants me to go farther, he's got to heal, but I'm willing to go farther. And sometimes it'd be nicer to just quit. I deal with a lot of risk, a lot of hard realities. And I'd like a good excuse to quit, but I don't really have one because that haunts me. Would you be made, or will you fulfill your destiny regardless of the opposition that you face?
Look at all the great men and women of the past, George Mueller, Hudson Taylor, Amy Carmichael, Gladys Allward, paid a price.
Yes, and we look at them and think what was easy for them. And then when you read their lives, you realize they had all kinds of opposition.
Absolutely.
But they chose the single thing in life that I want to fulfill my calling in Christ.
I don't know why God has given me all these experiences, but I was a young man. This would have been like 32 to 36 years old when I was really suffering with chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, ulcerative bleeding colitis, severe depression, all of those things. God, in his faithfulness, had given me those things, allowed me to go through those things so that I would learn to trust him and not myself. While I was going through that, there came a time where I had taken some medication from the supposed Chronic Fatigue Institute in Washington, and they'd given me some medication that was severely addictive. I didn't want to be on this anymore because I recognized that it was becoming a habit. I was like taking this medicine to stay whole. Dumped it out and had a severe reaction because I was now chemically dependent upon this medicine. But when I dumped it out, I had a severe reaction to the chemical dependency that I was no longer taking the medication. And it had an effect upon my central nervous system and my brain. And within 48 hours, I couldn't walk. I couldn't hold saliva in my mouth. I could hardly think. And so they had to get me down to Washington, and the doctor said, because you stopped taking the medication, now it's been 4 days, you're going to have irreversible damage to your nervous system and your brain. And my life was over. For the next 2 years, I had to cancel all my speaking engagements. I couldn't speak. I couldn't read a sentence off a piece of paper. My muscles were all contorted. And again, I'm drooling. I can't hold saliva in my mouth. And for the next 2 years, God was going to bring me down to the lowest level, and I was going to have to trust him. But during that time, my dad had given me an insurance policy, a disability insurance policy.
No kidding.
Years prior, when I was probably 20, 22 years old, and I had this policy, and I'm like, wow, this is a great time to use it. Wasn't a lot of money, $500 a month, but we had to live on that.
You were surviving
Yes.
anyhow. Yeah.
It was like, it was everything to me. And so 2 years have gone by. I'm not getting a whole lot better. I mean, I'm like, I could function, but, I could walk now. I couldn't walk before. Someone had to hold me before I would fall over. I'm functional, but I can't go out and get a job, and I thank the Lord. I was a caretaker on this amazing estate, so my job was doable, just mowing lawns and doing things like that, taking care of the houses, but I would never go back into ministry. And so anyways, at the end of 2 years, the insurance company comes to meet with me. They sent a rep. And he looks at me and he goes, I think you're fine. And I'm like, I can't even think. I can't put my words together in my brain and have them come out of my mouth correctly. There's no way I'm fine. He goes, well, I don't see any evidence that you're hurt. And I go, like, I'm hurt. You ask my wife, you ask my kids. I'm not the same person I used to be. And he goes, I don't see it. He goes, we're removing you from this disability insurance. And I was like, you can't do this. This is my life. I was like, if you would have seen inside, I was an emotional wreck because, like, you're taking something away from me that's so important to me. That was one of the best things that's ever happened to me. It forced me to face reality and to get out there and start thinking again, working again, and trying the hardest things, I remember the very first thing I had to do, I had to now support my family. I had to make up for that $500. Mm-hmm. And I started doing roofs, and roofing. And I've never roofed before in my life. That's the only thing I could think of doing, and my son Jonathan's helping me, do the roof. I had to tie a rope to him, and he'd go off and do the edge of the roof.
Oh, dear.
The roof. I know. People don't write me letters. But it forced me to start becoming normal again. Mm-hmm. Within a year, I look back and I'm going like, I can't believe it. I'm back to my old self again. Didn't even know how it happened. And so sometimes God has got to take us. For me, he just forced me to get out of my imprisonment. Mm-hmm. I was a captive of my own self-made prison. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about it. Are there people that you've come across that remain a prisoner of their own making?
Absolutely. It's that 30, 60, 100-fold. Mm-hmm. There's always an exchange in God's economy. And we must give up the lesser things for the greater things. We must buy wisdom. And in order to buy wisdom, you must sell something. And God is a God that's very exacting in stewardship. And so when he sees us sacrificially investing, he adds to it. If we have one talent, he gives us two. The thing that we overlook with this man of 38 years infirmity is that he was still there. He kept going. And God saw that little bit of initiative, and he made sure that his son went and met with him and healed him. And so despite his failure and his excuses, he still had a heart, because many a person would have quit going. This doctor's not healing me. This is a wasted formula. I can't get there, and I just accept the reality. And I would have stayed away, but he kept going. So there was something about him that God saw that drew him to him. He says, any man will draw near to me, I will draw near to him. And that's proof of it right there.
I never saw that before.
That's good.
Well, I'll tell you the exciting thing about the whole thing is because all of us have layers that we can't fix ourselves. There are things in our lives we cannot take out, we cannot change. And that's why he's the author and the perfecter. He knew Peter was going to deny him, and yet he went and let him go through it and go all the way to the other end because he had something greater to give to Peter. He knew this man would have an excuse. He knows I have excuses. I blame others or whatever, and he still seeks me out despite my impotence. And he chooses to invest in me regardless of my inabilities to succeed. Success all belongs to him. And you get to the other end, you realize, God, thank you for not giving up on me when I was arguing with you and fighting with you and feeling sorry for myself. You keep seeking me out. He's an amazing seeker of us.
That's awesome. Okay, so we're going to bring this to a close. You have to do devotions with our college students in about 2 minutes. If you had someone you loved that is, imprisoned by their own making, and they really believed, that they need to rest, they need to step back from ministry, from everything. They've stopped going to church. They're staying at home. They just can't handle life. It's such an emotional strain on them, and they're a believer. Okay? They're studying the Bible at home. They're memorizing Scripture. They're doing all the things. But now it's been 2 years, and they're still self-healing. They're still feeling like they're not ready to step out again. What would you say to that person like that?
Well, we're tempted to take on God's jurisdiction. Only He changes a life. Only He gives increase. Our job is to keep watering that sucker and cultivating that sucker, just loving and feeding with truth. Change comes from Him in their life. But we're angry with them because they don't change fast enough. And you realize, I'm trying to do God's job. And I need to learn to be faithful and believe in Him, even if the other person doesn't. It's not my job to change them. It's my job to love them and serve them.
I was hoping you would give a better answer.
Me too. I don't like my stuff. I told the church last week if I'd known I was preaching, I wouldn't have showed up.
That's good. That's good. And there's probably many people out there that are listening to this that maybe are prisoners of their own making. And the challenge is that we do have a God that knows exactly what we need. He is faithful. He does desire to heal us. Not all of us get healed.
No. But all of us can be made whole.
Ooh. Oh, that's good. That's good.
Even Jacob limped the rest of his life, but he was a better man because of it.
And with that, thank you for joining us here at Fastened Like Nails. We'll do this again soon. God bless.
You've been listening to Fastened Like Nails, a presentation of Lamplighter Ministries. Our mission is to make ready a people prepared for the Lord by building Christ-like character, one story at a time. To learn more about our family collection of rare books, dramatic audios, or guild programs, visit lamplighter.net. To hear more podcasts, search for Fastened Like Nails wherever you listen to podcasts.